Clark Lea is killing it in the portal, but there's still some important targets still available that he must add.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Today, we explore what Vandy needs to do to get back in the top 25. Vandy baseball, that is. Mark Byington may just land his big man, but first, Clark Lea needs to go after these targets in the portal to finish out his roster, most of them on offense. So first and foremost, the most impactful position is going to be the offensive line. And that target is Chase Mitchell. And he's a guy that can come in, immediately play that tackle position and dominate on the offensive line. And why is that important? Well, because as we discussed in an earlier episode, we discussed that Vandy's identity is running the football. So Vandy wants to be a dominant run first team that features the quarterback in the run game, as well as being able to hit play actions and things like that. So what you need is a mix of different types of offensive line. I think they've got their interior guys all set up. Gage Pitchford, which we don't know how he's going to respond coming off injury. So there are some question marks there. You have Gunnar Hansen coming in, solidifying the left tackle spot. He's the incumbent starter. Is he guaranteed? Probably not. But nonetheless, he started all 12 games for Vanderbilt at the left tackle position. Stephen Lasoya comes in from Mississippi State, and then you add Steve Hubbard as well to that mix. So there's a lot of options on the interior of guys that can come in and make a difference. Cade McConnell, and now what would be also if he ends up committing is Chase Mitchell coming in at the tackle position. Now Mitchell's a little bit on the shorter end for a tackle. He's probably built between a tackle and a guard. He's a little bit tall of a guard. Guards I like, especially in this type of scheme, to be, about 6'3-ish, 6'2-ish, a little bit more wide and built for double teams and combo blocks and things like that. So what Chase Mitchell brings to the table is you could probably slot him in and actually that right tackle spot, right? He started at Liberty as their left tackle, but given his build and given his ability, especially as a dominant run blocker, I think he fits perfectly in at the right tackle spot because he's somebody who's athletic enough that can block on wide zone stuff. He can block down on power. He can release on some of the option stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that he can do that will help the quarterbacks and also this run game as well. So he's somebody that's athletic enough to and smart enough to be able to pass protect. So he's a must get. You can't offensively. You need depth on the offensive line because it's a brutal position. First and foremost, it is the most important position on the offense. Without an offensive line, you've got nothing else. So it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback, doesn't matter who you have at running back, doesn't matter who you have at wide receiver. You could have prime Randy Moss, prime Tom Brady, and prime LaDainian Tomlinson at their respective positions. Without an offensive line, makes it kind of tough. So you need that depth, and you need those skill sets that these guys bring to the table. Like Lasoya, a lot of starting SEC experience at Mississippi State, and on a roster built similarly to Vanderbilt. Can come in. He has center experience too, so he can come in and snap the football. You have Stephen Hubbard, who played guard at UTEP, also comes in with a lot of playing experience and really well versed in the run game. And all these guys kind of These guys were specifically targeted because of their skill sets, because of their specialties in the run game. That's where Vandy wants to strike first. They want to strike fear into you in the run game, and they want to get downhill. Chase Mitchell is somebody at the tackle spot that can certainly do that for you. So these are impact freshmen. These are must-haves, not freshmen, but portal targets. These are must-haves, okay? These are must-haves. And Chase Mitchell, he has prior relationship with Chris Kleenakis, the offensive line coach, their connection at Liberty. And this is a must-get. I think if you get him, I think it's a win. You have at least 10 or 11 guys, probably 12 with the freshmen coming in the summer, 12 guys that you can kind of go with. And then you have a couple of preferred walk-on guys that can kind of fill out that third unit. But I think you have a good starting point. And so he's somebody that could bring in instant leadership and just kind of start that ball rolling with being able to get portal guys. And so with that, with the success, if you can land somebody like Chase Mitchell, who's a pretty big target, literally and figuratively, if you can land that and get that ball rolling, I think other transfer offensive linemen, when the next portal window opens after the season, will be more than willing to jump on because they'll see the identity. And, of course, obviously there's got to be a little success there so that Clark Lea and staff can be around to pluck guys out of the transfer portal. So a lot of risk here, a lot of reward, all that good stuff. But it's got to work out. And I think getting Chase Mitchell on the offensive line will make that work out. It will benefit the quarterbacks. It will benefit the running backs, and everything will tie together because they will fit their puzzle pieces, as I make this ongoing analogy, will fit perfectly in where they're supposed to go. All right. Speaking of those puzzle pieces, okay, another featured position within this offense, they've made priority to make wide receiver a deeper and more talented, more explosive room. You add Darian Wiley to that mix, which is I talked about on yesterday's episode, so go back and watch that as well when you're done here. He is a very impactful, explosive, athletic guy that comes in at the wide receiver spot. Now, Eli Stowers from Vandy State, New Mexico State, really. He was a tight end at New Mexico State, and he was a quarterback coming out of high school. He was a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school, but athletic guy, needed a place to play, didn't quite pan out at the quarterback position, decided that a position change was in order if he wanted to continue his college football playing career. He has shown that he can play tight end at a high level. He's shown that now he can move into a conference. He could even move into the conference like the SEC, albeit with Vandy. So what he would mean for this offense, okay? The tight end position is going to be very, very, very important, not only in the run game, okay? And you got that with Cole Spence, you got that with our guy from Cornell, and you've got Tyler Fortenberry, who's a bigger body that can also block. You've got some inline guys, but when you go 12 personnel, when you go 11 personnel with some of your more athletic personnel, like you want to go more open sets with your 11 personnel, Eli Stowers is somebody that can come in and be that guy, because you could go a 3-by-1 bunch, put Stowers at the point, and you can run some quick game stuff there because he'll block on the edge, he'll block on the perimeter very, very well. He can also find some short intermediate zones. He can sit in some windows, things like that. He can be a possession guy that you need over the ball and over the middle, and kind of like in your quick game that can really get some things done. He's more athletic than those other guys. Not saying those guys aren't athletic, but he's somebody that's a little more nimble, a little quicker, kind of more like a pass catching tight end. Cole Spence, Cameron Johnson, Tyler Fortenberry, those are kind of more your versatile. They can block, they can catch passes, they can run routes. They're probably not quite as fast as Stowers, but they certainly fit a more versatile bill. And I think you have now your just pure blockers, your extra offensive linemen, your glorified offensive linemen, so to speak. So Eli Stowers would be a tremendous target get because of the athletic athleticism he brings, the intelligence that he brings as well to the table would be outstanding. So he caught 35 passes for 366 yards and 2 touchdowns in limited action because he made that switch to tight end. He also had, he also can do some things if you want to go like a special set, like a wildcat power set or something like that, or just, something kind of funky. He can also throw the ball if you need him to throw the ball, but he's 6'4", 215, very, very, very athletic. So staying on the offensive side of the ball. Now, I think it's very interesting when you look at what the next piece is. So you got about 3 spots really that you need. Okay. You got about 3 spots that you need to fill. And with that last spot, so you have 3, maybe 4, you could probably get away with 4. All right. But definitely 3. So what needs to happen, right? You can continue to fill on the offensive side of the ball. So you have some needs, okay? And this would be a little bit more of a luxury get, I'll admit. I think both of these would be a little bit more of a luxury get than the previous 2, okay? Really, if they went 3 offensive linemen, I would be happy as well. I would not complain about that. So, but they're not going to do that. But Star Thomas, that running back, he's another Aggie door that I think could be the sledgehammer that Vandy needs. If Vandy's going to be a physical running team, they need a sledgehammer. Okay, they've got Newberry, they've got Cedric Alexander, 2 good all-purpose. Can do just about anything type backs, can run with a little bit of physicality, can run with some speed, some patience. They can catch some passes out of the backfield. You have Chase Gillespie, who's a little bit quicker, probably more of a pass catcher than he is a runner, but he can still do a lot of different things. But like you need that closer. You need that guy who in certain situations early in the game, you need that guy to boom, sledgehammer. Man. All right, wear the defense down a little bit, make their appetite for tackling go away. All right, and then you come to them a little bit, then you roll the other guys for a little while, and then you come back to him, and then he just boom, 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 just crushing people. And in the fourth quarter, they're not going to tackle that. And if you got any sort of lead, he's somebody that can really kind of just demoralize your opponent. Let's say you're upsetting Alabama. I know. I just said we're upsetting Alabama. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying hypothetically. Let's say we're upsetting Alabama. Well, you bring in Star Thomas and he starts hammering people. They're gonna get a little bit demoralized. So I think that would be a tremendous get. I think if you're going to really truly focus on the run game and being something in the run game, Star Thomas has got to be on your roster if you want to fill that role. He's a very specific puzzle piece, would be a very good puzzle piece. All right, and last, there's an offer out to Micah Bell. If you want to build depth at the cornerback position, I think this would be a tremendous get. I think this is also a must-have. So I think if they sign any combination of these 3 people, definitely got to get Mitchell. I think that's most important. And then any combination of these other 3 would be outstanding. Okay, so Michael Bell would come in, from Notre Dame. He comes in with his redshirt year still intact, so he has 4 years of eligibility at the cornerback position. He only appeared in 3 games. Super talented, couldn't quite crack the lineup as a freshman. That's okay. Notre Dame's got a pretty talented defense. They got a pretty talented team. Marcus Freeman knows what he's doing over there on that side of the ball. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that a freshman at Notre Dame may not see a whole lot of action, but he is nonetheless very, very talented and could make huge strides in this league and add to a very talented roster of cornerbacks. And so I think with that addition or that possible addition, your defensive backfield just becomes, especially the cornerback position, just becomes unbelievable. And so that becomes the strength of your defense, and everything kind of looks inward and downward from there. So adding him for some depth down the road, he can end up being a star on that defense and bring back that defensive identity, which obviously is being built from from the secondary through the front. So it's going to be interesting to see how these targets, how they shake out over the next few weeks. There's going to be some things happening. There's going to be some decisions being made here pretty soon because summer workouts are going to have to get rolling. So you're going to see some guys. Obviously, they can't start till summer anyway, so there's no real rush. But again, they just want to get their spot solidified before something else jumps. So anyway, basketball is going to get a huge commit. It looks like Mark Byington might find his big man after all. That was something that we needed. That was something that needed to happen. This could very well happen. Christian Reeves may be on the table. We'll talk about him next. All right. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. That is correct. FanDuel is the number one sports wagering site. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel gives you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. So right now, new customers, you get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's incredible. Again, that's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. I love the player props. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's number one sports book. You already know. All right, welcome back. Are you tired of watching ESPN and Fox Sports with all of that screaming and all of that shouting? Well, you need to make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. So Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you. Speaking of everydayers, thank you to the everydayers for making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure you get to Locked On SEC next after this to make them your second listen. So Mark Byington absolutely crushed it in the portal. Got with his philosophy, with his scheme. I think he's got a lot of athletic guys that fit a lot of different roles and bring a very, very distinct identity to this team. We're going to be fast. We're going to be physical, and we're going to get shots up, and we're going to attack the rim. Okay, that's what needs to happen. Well, to bring it all together, you need a big man. Okay, now this episode is about must-have portal targets. Wasn't limited to just football. Okay, this is a must-have. This is a must-get portal target. Okay, and this is somebody that can immediately make a difference. I mean, he's a center. Okay. He is from Duke, and he's somebody that I think would instantly come in and make a massive difference in this league. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how this all shakes out because, again, the importance of having an athletic big man, which is exactly what Christian Reeves is it's understated. Why? Because you need a guy that can run, you need a guy that can rebound, and you need a guy that can play some defense. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be really good. So his four schools that he's down to, okay, it is Vanderbilt. All right, it's Vanderbilt. That's all you need to know. It's Vanderbilt. Okay, it's Clemson, Florida, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. So there's a DMV connection here with Mark Byington, and that is, I think that's gonna be a more, I think that's gonna be a bigger deal than you think, right? Because Mark Byington probably was in on his recruiting. He was probably talking to him. He has that connection, that Oak Hill connection. He redshirted last year, so he is somebody that didn't play a whole lot, but look at this. He's 7'1". All right. You can't coach that. He's 7'1" and he's athletic. Played at Oak Hill, started Oak Hill, and he's, again, going to dominate. He's somebody that can dominate the paint. He's somebody that can run the floor. That's what you need, okay? And so to get recruited by a program like Duke, you're not a bad basketball player, okay? You're actually pretty good basketball player. But, again, with guys that are 7'1", the biggest concern is staying healthy. And that's what kind of plagued him. That's what kind of got him. So you come to if you're choosing between Florida, Oklahoma, and Vandy and Clemson, why not come to the place with the best medical facilities in the country? There you go. But anyway, on the court, he's, again, you need somebody to attack the rim. He's got it. You need somebody to protect the rim on the backside or on the defensive side. You got it. You need somebody to get rebounds. You got it. If you can get Christian Reeves, you've got all of that plus more. So this would be a huge target get here for Mark Byington as he rounds out his staff. Then Alan Lubin leaves in the transfer portal. That's a big loss. You need to find that answer, and that's your answer. Okay, you found answers for losing Tyron Lawrence, who goes to Georgia, which is a great get for Mike White. You need to find an answer for Colin Smith, who left in the portal. I think you've got some answers for all of that. I think you've got some good veteran leadership mixed in with some good young guys. You have some high intelligence, some guys with high basketball IQ, some intelligent guys, some big physical guys, long, can play the wings, can run the court, can finish, and they can attack the rim, and they can do so very good. So they're either going to get to the line or they're going to finish the basket. So I'm very excited about these potential transfer portal guys. This Christian Reeves get would be massive, both literally and figuratively, and that's exactly what Mark Byington needs. If he's gonna build a possible tournament team, that's what he needs. He needs to be able to dominate around the rim, whether it's with his guards or with a big center like a 7'1" Christian Reeves that hopefully can stay healthy. So anyway, that's kind of where he's at right there in the portal, and that's kind of what I think he's going after. I think we have a great shot at him, and I think it's going to be somebody that will make an immediate impact, and he knows that. He knows that he can come to Vanderbilt, which is a team that if you really kind of look at how it's been built over the last few weeks, maybe the last month or so, you can tell that there is a plan of how to use these guys. Like these guys have been recruited based on their specific skill sets. It's like a puzzle, and it's amazing. Like some people, like I said, some people's recruiting strategy and philosophy is get the best player available, and we'll just kind of figure it all out. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And with puzzle pieces, again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If these guys play their roles in complete unison and at one with each other, then it will work. But if these guys just aren't quite talented enough to really kind of be anything, which is also possible sometimes, you get good pieces that work together. They're just not quite talented enough, and there's not enough star power in there to kind of make a difference. That's also a possibility. So I got to keep you ready for that possibility. But I think these guys are going to play well together. I think these guys are going to mesh well together. And I think you're going to see some really good basketball. But speaking of a sport that needs some really good plays, a sport that a team that needs some fortunate luck, that needs some things to bounce in their way in a big way, is the Vandy boys. And we'll talk about their troubles as it gets a little bit worse for them. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, but we'll talk about the Vandy boys next. All right, game off. Man, we got to pause here and talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that, man. But there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much more to get. You can get unique stickers. You can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. You get cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. You can get hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton includes their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And get this, there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you rent or everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench, go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. All right, welcome back. We wrap up this show here shortly. Let's see, man. We've had some fun with some portal targets and things like that. Something that the Vandy boys need to accomplish in the offseason is hammering the transfer portal. Now that NIL is starting to become a thing at Vandy, now that the Vandy AD wants to take advantage of all of that, I think Tim Corbin needs to go find some power bats. And find them quickly. He needs to go find some of those tanks like that are built at Texas A&M or Georgia or some of these more southern schools, or even they need to find the well that Tennessee's visiting. Tennessee's ranked number 1 in the country. They come to Nashville this weekend. That's going to be, well, let's just say, not a great time to be not a great time to be in a massive slump. Okay. That's for one. Okay. And Vandy's experienced something that they probably haven't experienced in quite some time, is being outside the top 25. And they've fallen outside the top 25 after getting embarrassingly swept. And some other things about this Vandy team before we kind of talk about how to fix it. I challenge you, and this is I'm going to give some credit here to Joey Dwyer. And his articles are really, really good. If you haven't read them on vandysports.com, you need to. But it's difficult to even find the last time Vanderbilt was swept 3 times in a season. Yikes. Okay. They lost via run rule just twice last season. And they accomplished that feat in 2 games this past weekend, among others. They've been outscored 71-17 in their last 6 SEC road games. Woo. They're overmatched. They're drastically overmatched in a lot of these things. At the plate, it just seems like their approach is bad. On the mound, it just kind of seems like those guys now are a little bit tight and just trying to hang on for dear life. That's not good. In the field, it kind of looks like they're not wanting the ball to be hit to them. Aside from Jonathan Vastine, who's an absolute great shortstop defensively, I just think this Vanderbilt team is just not consistent enough hitting the ball. First of all, they hit with absolutely no power. They have to rely on stringing together a lot of hits and moving base runners, and they can't do that. So I think when they were scoring runs early, I think what they were doing was getting their fast guys in the lineup. The time they played Indiana State, where everybody was kind of worried about, okay, Indiana State's ranked in a midweek game, and Tim Corbin put his fast lineup out there and scored 20 runs. And so it's one of those things where, like, I think you have to kind of get a little bit of a mental edge. And there's 2 ways to do it. Either mash the ball out of the yard or put ultimate speed out there and just run people into a frenzy. And when you do that, it puts a little pressure on people, and it makes people not want to walk you. It makes people want to keep you off the bases, and they're going to press a little bit because of that. Vandy's pressing a little bit because of that. Vandy's pressing a little bit because teams are crushing home runs against them. They're pressing. They're leaving pitches up in the zone. They're not having good approaches against these batters. These pitchers have completely fallen apart. The hitters at the plate, they're scared. They don't know what to do. They have no plan. They just don't know what to do. They're frozen. They probably have a plan, but it all kinds of goes out the window when you're nervous and you're trying to press. Not that these guys are afraid, but these guys are just thinking too dang much. And they just need to go out there and play, run, wreak havoc, have fun, and just see where the chips fall, right? I mean, they've seen how bad it can get. They've seen what rock bottom looks like, getting swept by Georgia, who last year didn't make the tournament, who last year had to replace their coach, who's been known for not being able to pitch at all, been known to not have much of a baseball program at all over the last decade. And so when you look at it that way, it can't honestly get a whole lot worse. I mean, it could get worse, but not by a large margin. So just go out there and just let it rip, man, and just swing the bats. Go up there. You're getting a lot of first pitch strikes. You're getting a lot of first pitch fastballs. Go out there and hammer those. Put in a gap and run. Put your fast guys out there and let's go. I think that's the answer. You got to do something different. You got to change it up. You got to put your fast guys out there, I think, and just steal, run, all that good stuff. Get a little confidence back. Once you get a little bit of mojo back, things can change. You win game 1 against Tennessee, all bets are off now. So, but anyway, that's going to wrap us up for today's episode. I thank you for listening to us. I thank you for joining us each and every day. Every day as you make this all possible, 1,000,000%. Follow us on social media at Locked On Vandy, on all social media accounts, as well as Coach Burton 36 on X, at Coach Burton, at Coach Corey Burton on Instagram. So make sure you follow the show, make sure you follow me, and make sure you tell a friend. Make sure you tell somebody. Spread the word. We are the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow for a hump day edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. But until then, as always, anchor down and be good. Peace.